I want to do this next story today because it's important to do, but I want to be careful about the message that I send to you. And I have something that I'm going to admit to you, which is that Donald Trump's mishandling of coronavirus has pushed me to be as close to a prepper as I have ever been. Now, preppers are those who believe that there is a catastrophic disaster or emergency that is likely to occur in the future, and they make active preparations for it. Typically, they stockpile food. Sometimes they stockpile weapons and ammunition. They stockpile elements of medical, as you may have come to know them, and a whole bunch of other supplies. And there's a political bent to prepping. So you've got just general people who, general preparedness advocates who often are not super politically entwined with the movement. But very often preppers are small government conservatives. They're prepping because they have a fundamental distrust of government. Sometimes they even have conspiracy theories about government that lead them to prep. Sometimes you have religiously motivated prepping. Mormons, for example, often do long-term food storage as a part of their religion. Now, I am not literally becoming a prepper. I'm not buying guns, for example. I'm not buying a year of food or anything like that. But there is no doubt that the degree to which Donald Trump has been completely untrustworthy and dishonest and incompetent day in and day out when it comes to the coronavirus pandemic has proven to me not that I need to have a fundamental distrust of government and therefore I should be prepping, but that the country is dumb enough to elect people this poorly suited to manage a crisis, and I do need to be more prepared. It's healthy to have a skepticism of government's ability to solve every problem, and I've never trusted government in certain areas. So, for example, I've never trusted government to do foreign policy correctly, right? Democrats and Republicans, we have hundreds of years of history to vindicate us on that. Look at the Middle East, look at Latin America, look at so many of these other things. That was always an area where I was very skeptical of government. Part of it is the people that we elect to lead us. I've never really trusted government to do criminal justice correctly. Look at the war on drugs, look at mass incarceration, look at cannabis, look, all these different things. But I have mostly believed that in a time of real crisis, like a pandemic, I consider the coronavirus pandemic to be one of those instances, I mostly believe that the government would pull it together and cross party lines and put ignorance and politics and partisanship aside and just take care of things. And yet, as 60,000 Americans have died, 61,000 really, as we continue to find 15, 20, 25,000 new cases of the virus every single day, as we clearly are not yet doing nearly enough testing, Donald Trump has failed. He's failed to be proactive. Every day he is going out and gaslighting. As thousands of people were dying on Monday, Trump was publicly bragging about how great everything he's done is. On Tuesday, as thousands of people were continuing to die, he went out and he did a complete propaganda press conference using people with cognitive disabilities as props to brag about how he and Ivanka have saved the economy. As 30 million people now have lost their jobs, tens of thousands of businesses have been unable to get money from that PPP program because huge corporations took a ton of cash and the money ran out. So then I start to go to a dark place. Our testing rate is 41st in the world. And Trump is bragging, we've done the most tests. We have the best tests. It's total gaslighting and they can't be trusted. So how does this get me to prepping? Well, I was thinking yesterday, imagine that we weren't dealing with a viral pandemic for a second. Imagine that the crisis was a bad actor had poisoned the water supply in urban areas and the water was killing people. Someone poisons the water supply, people start to die. We figure out what it is. The water supply has been poisoned. Okay, people can't drink tap water anymore until it gets sorted out, but people need water to live. Trump is the type of guy who would have a slow response, but would insist everything is fine. He'd say, just run the tap. We're going to run the taps and everything's going to be fine. It'll clear out as people start to die, not only from drinking tainted water, but also dying of thirst. He would go on TV and he would say the National Guard has distributed tens of millions of gallons, more than any government has ever done. Who even heard of distributing 10 million gallons before? And people would be dying because 10 million gallons of water is nothing in a country of 300 million. And 10 days would go by and there would still be too little water, much like there are still too few tests. And Trump would go on TV and say, hey, here's 10 CEOs who have developed great water filtration devices. We've given them a ton of cash, of course, huge cash cow for them. They're making money. And we're going to roll out 100,000 water filtration kits to communities, and we're winning. And people would be dying of thirst. And when the 100,000 filtration kits show up 6 weeks later, it's not enough. Now, I am not someone who has distrusted government to effectively take care of some of these basics, because I never imagined we'd have someone so dishonest and so immoral in the Oval Office. But unfortunately, enough Americans voted for it in 2016, and that's what we have. So I admit I've been buying more medical supplies. I've been buying a water filtration capability. I bought some of those water storage bricks waiting for them to arrive. And I'll constantly keep, 15 gallons of water for myself and another 15 gallons for my girlfriend. I've bought more non-perishable food, some supplies if electricity was out for, say, 3 days, everything from, waterproof matches to who knows what. I've sort of gone down the rabbit hole. So I'm sort of cautiously, not for the reasons that the right-wingers who are preppers do it, but cautiously acquiring stuff because I never imagined the voters would do something like put a Donald Trump in charge. Am I crazy? If anybody else is feeling this way, let me know. And I know that there will be right-wingers who say, David, you've taken the red pill. You are now one of us. No. My reasons for doing this are not small government conservatism or sovereign citizen ideology or any of that stuff. It's, wow, the American people might elect a moron like this again, and he could or she could once again fail us. That's why I'm doing it. Let me know your reaction. Let me know what you think. I'm on Twitter @DPakman.